Today we're going to do a little bit more of an introduction to Adobe Audition and explain in particular the difference between the waveform and the multi-track editors. So the first thing I'm going to do is import some audio to work with. You guys get the privilege of listening to me sing and play the ukulele. Just happened to be working on a project for my wife's birthday. So the waveform editor we've worked with before. This is the spectral display. If you drag this down, you'll see the waveform display, I think is what it's called. There's actually also one more display you can get to by clicking right here, which is a spectral pitch display. You'll see off on the right, these are showing notes, and then the the frequency is in parentheses of some of them. This can be really useful, but not really what I'm looking for right now. So basically what I want to do is a little bit of noise removal before I put together my clip of the vocals with the instrumental in the multi-track editor. So I'm just going to come through and do a little bit of noise removal with you. If you've watched my tutorial on noise removal, you should be familiar with this. I'm going to show you one trick that I kind of discovered with noise removal though. And that is, if you are getting a little bit of vocals, which I'm not in this one. So maybe I'll show you in the next one if it has any. But I had suggested turning down the percent audio that it is extracting, but I actually found another kind of cool way of doing it as well. This one should have some vocals, so hopefully I can show you. Still don't really hear any. But anyway, here's the trick. Instead of lowering the percentage, just kind of drag and try and figure out where is it that the vocals are getting caught. Is it the low end of the frequency, the high end of the frequency? And you can kind of take them out in that area, and you can put as many of these points in here as you want and kind of get the effect you're looking for. I still don't actually hear it. Oh, and then if you get just way too many dots in there and you say, you know, I need to start over. Right here's your reset button. I still don't actually really hear like a little bit of muffled vocals, but not much. So I'm going to put it right there. Oh, and remember to uncheck that or else it will just export the sound that you're trying to take out instead of the sound that you're trying to keep. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let me zoom in a little bit here. If you marquee an area, you can actually usually see things that wouldn't show up otherwise. Like there's a band right here actually. It's just kind of weird. Anyway, I'll go ahead and get rid of it. I'm gonna reset that. Yeah, I don't hear anything. Go ahead and apply it. Now there's some space at the beginning of the track that I'm not going to try and get rid of now. It'll be a lot easier to get rid of that in the waveform or the multi-track view, so I'll show you that in a minute. There's a couple other little spots, I'm not going to worry about them. Okay. I also might want to add, let's do a declicker. That's a really useful one. Declicker in the diagnostics tab will get rid of just little clips and noises. Let me see if I can get it to play one for us. Last time I got it to play me the noise. I don't know how I did it. But now I won't do it. They're like kind of little squeaks or squeals or... Yeah, it's not working. Anyway, it's pretty safe just to repair them. Declipper, what that does is if you went, maybe you had your microphone volume or recording volume set too high or something like that, and it clipped off the audio because the ceiling was here but the sound went past that, if that makes sense, then a declipper will kind of fix that a little bit. I can do the declicker while I'm thinking about it. Oh, the other thing I was going to say on the audio, on the vocals, that you might think of adding is like a parametric equalizer, maybe put it on vocal enhancer. Again, you can turn it off and back on. Honestly, I don't really notice a difference, but I figured it probably isn't worse. Okay, same thing I'm going to do with parametric equalizer here, and actually put it on acoustic guitar. Okay, that sounds pretty good. And I didn't leave myself much space to take out the noise here. I kind of started right away, but let's see if there's anything here. There we go, it's loading. I don't really see anything, but it did pick up a little bit. Doesn't sound like it's taken out any of my ukulele noise. I think I might amplify this one a little bit too. I might have been recording a little bit too softly. Oh, there's definitely a little bit right there, even though I can't hear it. Yeah, it's a little bit quiet. Actually, I'm not this bad form. I should be amplifying this before I noise removal, because you'll get more noise after you amplify. Okay, I'm going to look for the biggest peak up here and kind of see what my audio is at that peak. Okay, so I can definitely go a little bit louder still. So it went over on like that one slap, but not much. I think that's fine. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning. Now that we've let's apply the amplify and see if that brings anything else to our attention. I think we're pretty good actually. There's a little bit more noise right here I can see. Way up there, I don't think it's gonna make a difference. Let's go ahead and apply. And a little bit right here still. But that first noise is me doing something with my guitar, but I don't really want it in there anyway, so. Oh, now I definitely am getting some guitar noise though. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down even. That's pretty good. I'm still getting a pretty full sound on the ukulele there, so I'll go ahead and leave it. Or apply it rather. The little noise is still there, but actually we're probably going to cut, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I've got my vocals, I've got my ukulele, I've got the noise out of them. Let's go to Multitrack, and I'm going to save it in the same place as I have the audio tracks, just to make things easy. And I'm going to name it the same thing to make it easy. One problem I ran into in the last one is I tried to drag these over and it told me that the rate, like the hertz, was different. So I had to pull up the metadata window. It wasn't there, so I went window metadata and had to look on XMP at the file properties to see what my sample rate was. So last time when I tried this, it made a multi-track in 48,000, I think. And I had to change it to 44.1 because that's what my sound is in. So you may have to do that. But if you do, you can just open up. I mean, you can do it here too. So if you're in the waveform still, just double click on it, go Windows Metadata, and it'll show you this over here. You can figure out what your sample rate is. Okay, so this is our multi-track view. If you've used Audacity or Pro Tools before, you're going to have a view like this. It's kind of for combining clips together. And the really nice thing about it is that we can kind of hear them together and what do they sound like. And the reason I told you I wasn't going to cut this part out before is because I can do it now. And this part, I don't really need this audio. But if I try and move these separately and get them to line up, still it's going to be a pain. So I grab both of them with the marquee and then scoot them and they'll scoot together. A little bit of an intro, not bad. My levels are looking okay on here. I can turn them up right here, but I already adjusted them, so they should be about where I want them. This is to mute a track. This is to do a solo of a track, so you can only hear that track. R is for recording, but it's not letting me for some reason. Okay, so do I need this to be louder? I think I want my audio is a little bit louder. I'll show you that over here you also have effects that you can apply to the clip. Honestly, I don't actually know how this works. I don't know what the difference between clip and track effects are. I'm guessing that track effects are going to apply to one or the other, and clip effects maybe applies to the whole thing. Honestly, I haven't played with the multi-track very much, but a lot of the same effects are available here. One of them that I'm going to show you just because it's cool. We're going to do track effects though, because we don't want it on the uke, we just want it on the vocals. Is if you go time and pitch automatic pitch correction, you can tell it which key you're in. If you don't know, I think usually the last note of a song is the key it's in. Someone told me that a long time ago in piano lessons. So if you go here, you should be able to tell, probably, what the last note is. This is how I tried to do it last time. Combination of words I could say, but I will still tell you one thing, we're better together. I think that's an A. Is that what it sounded like where it was? Unfortunately, I was kind of all over the place on that last note, but I think it's an A. Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. That might not even be how you figure out what the key is, but we'll say key of A. Now let's wait till we get to some audio. This is showing you how much it's correcting your voice. You can change the sensitivity so that it catches more mistakes. This is more conservative down on this end. If you increase both of them, it sounds kind of poppy. If you miss it by a lot, that's going to sound really obvious, because I did it a couple times. Anyway, I actually decided to keep this off, but I just wanted to show you how to use it. Okay, so let's say you're done with this. You do your little thing. Let me check the end and see if it needs to be clipped in at all. That was me hitting the stop button on the keyboard. So let's go ahead and cut that out. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I'm going to save this. It's going to ask me, do I want to save the session? I think that's what the multi-track is called, a session. So do I want to save this? You know, what I had the levels at, where I put the clips, all that. Yeah, I do. Do I want to save changes to this track, the ukulele track? I don't think I changed anything, but yeah, save changes. And the vocal track. Did it ask about the vocal track? Anyway, I think it saved everything. So let me show you one more useful trick here in Audition. You'll notice this yellow bar going across looks pretty similar to the yellow bar we have going across here in Adobe Premiere. The only difference is in Premiere I have to control click in order to put in a keyframe. Well, there's a couple differences. I have to control click to put in a keyframe in Premiere. And if I do this in Premiere, put two keyframes, I can grab the middle bar and move it as if it were its own little entity. And Audition won't let me do that. If I just click without even holding control, it will put in a keyframe there. Oh, I don't know. If I hold control, it also adds a keyframe. I'm not sure the difference is. But if I try and drag this middle bar, so you notice it doesn't work. It just adds another keyframe instead. Even if I do the 2 and 2 deal, it still doesn't work. But you can still kind of do the same thing by just, if you add 2 keyframes, it actually, this is kind of different as well, because in Premiere if you add 2 keyframes and then drag up one of them, or I guess I can't go up because I'm already at 100, but this one is going to eventually come back up to 100% because, oh man, where'd it go? Because I just grabbed it here, it's still going to make its way back up. But if I drag this up, it's staying up there. There's the other keyframe, even at the very end of the track, is still at that same height. Now if I want to have it come up for a little bit and then come back down, I mean I do something like that, you know, which I did use in the last song I was editing, so kind of useful still. One other thing is the same keyboard shortcuts, plus and minus, will zoom you in and out, and you have a lot of the similar stuff up here as far as there's a razor tool. I guess it's R in this case instead of C. That's kind of confusing. Slip tool, I still don't know what it does. Time selection. Anyway, you got a lot of similar things here. But okay, so you're ready. You're done. You've listened to it. Sounds great. What you're gonna do is go to File, Export, Multitrack, Mixdown, Entire Session. Go ahead and pick where you want to save it to. I actually have already saved this one, but that's where I would want to save it. I want it as a wave. You can do whatever you want to save it as. Sample type, I think we just want to keep the same, since we picked the sample rate and everything that we had used, that the audio was already recorded in, I should say. Format settings, change any of this if you want to. This is exactly what I want though. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to tell me would you like to overwrite, because I actually already saved it. I don't actually want to, but you're going to just click OK and it'll save, and then you're done.